Uh, we had just gotten home from church, and we were celebrating immensely because it looked like we were having a crop for the first time in 3 years. The corn was standing tall and proud. It was tasseling out. It was early August, and we, as a family, were celebrating this, and we gathered around the family table to have our evening meal after we had milked the cows. And all of a sudden, the sky turned angry. It looked like it had gone berserk. It seemed like it was wild and angry, and it wasn't only just black and blue, and it was purple. And suddenly it began to rain and hail, and the hailstones were about the size of golf balls or bigger. And we were sitting at the table, and when it happened, we all went to the window and just watched this whole thing happen. And the ground was covered with about 2 or 3 inches of ice. And 120 acres of corn, which was standing about 4 or 5 feet tall, was sledgehammered into the ground. There wasn't one stalk more than 2 feet above the ground. There was dreadful silence in the home because we all knew this was bad. This was the third year of crop failure. And after it passed, the sun came out in all its beauty, and we stood around the table. We sat around the table, and no one said a word. No one said a word for about 5 minutes. And the food was cold, and all eyes were on my dad. What was he going to do? And he made one comment. He said, "I still have my wife and my kids." And then he offered a very short prayer. We still sat there. Then my sister went to the piano, and she began to play, "Be still, my soul, the Lord is on your side. Bear patiently your cross of grief or pain. Leave to your God to order and provide. In every change he constant will remain. Be still, my soul, your calm, your heavenly friend. Through thorny way leads to a better end." So all of us kids joined her at the piano. We did that quite often. And we had 2 hymn books, 10 Bibles, and 2 kerosene lamps. We were rich. She played, and we sang through one hymn book, and then we sang through the next hymn book, and then it was dark. And my mother offered a prayer, and we went to bed. But there was a peace of God on us like I had never experienced before. The sweet assurance that we weren't alone, that God would guide and he'd provide, and we slept like babies. Next morning the phone started ringing, and the relatives knew that we had been hailed out, so all of them called and asked if us older 4 kids would come and work for them for 25 cents a day or 50 cents a day, whatever. So I went to work for Uncle Dick about 15 miles away, and I think I was about 10 years old, and had to milk his cows and drive his horses and slop his pigs and all that stuff. And my mother noticed that I was scared. And she said, "You're scared, aren't you?" She says, "Come outside." So she took me outside, and she pointed to the North Star. She said, "That represents God. Now you keep your eye on God, and you keep doing the little things well, and you just plod, put 1 foot ahead of the other. And when you get to be an old man, you'll have come a long way." She was right. I've always remembered that.